कल से एक और ब्रॉडबैंड सर्विस लगवा रहा हूँ एयरटेल का भी। यस, नेटवर्क इशू। Good evening to all my dear friends. As you know that after the entertainment in two classes, this is the first class in which I am going to take class and start the topic. First topic which have been prescribed in your syllabus. Name of the topic is that elements of the crime. As you know that here I have written the synopsis. In the synopsis, here is that meaning of crime, elements of the crime, school presumption, Latin stages like these points. Here I want to inform you that whenever I teach you, I never teach only for the semester exam. At the time of teaching you, I always keep in mind that teaching must be in such a way in the future you can solve the competitive problem in the competitive exams also. My point is that never interrupt me whether that things has been prescribed in your syllabus or not. As you know that in several times I teach those topics which have not been prescribed in your syllabus. That's why it is my humble request that please read the IPC not only for the semester exam but also for the competitive exam. It will be beneficial for you. As you know that the IPC is the most important subject after the constitutional law. As you know that if you go in the public, they will ask nothing except the about the IPC, what is the theft, what is the murder, what is the culpable homicide. That's why to make the reputations in the society, as well as in the earlier classes I had already told you that all of you are the brand ambassador of this university. So please let us start this topic. Here I will discuss the meaning of the crime. Meaning of the crime has been prescribed and written so that in the competitive exam you can solve the question. In the competitive exam, especially in the UPSC and UPPCS, you will get one question from the meaning of the crime. Here I will later on discuss in the brief what is the meaning of the crime. This is the synopsis parts. In the second parts, elements of the crime, there are the four elements of the crime. First is the human being, second is the mens rea or guilty mind, third is the actus reus, and fourth is injury to society or human being. I will discuss just a few minutes later regarding the elements of the crime. And second is the school of mens rea regarding the interpretation of the statutes. As you that statutes can be divided into two parts. Some statutes, some provisions of the statutes clearly deals about the guilty mind intentions. Clearly, they talks about that whether mens rea is required or not. For the example, 378 clearly says that whoever intended to take dishonestly. So what is that? Whoever, comma, intending to take dishonestly. What dishonestly denotes the guilty mind. So my point is that section 378 clearly talks about the guilty mind. In that situation, there is no need to application of the these particulars schools. But there are some provisions in which law is silent about the guilty mind. It neither say that it is not applicable, it means totally silent. Whether the mens rea is necessary for the commission of crime or not, law is totally silent. For the example, in the case of rape, waging war, kidnapping, bigamy, these are the provisions in which law is totally silent. If the law is silent, whether the mens rea should be presumed as a part of the mens rea, should be presumed as a part of the statutes, or should be presumed as the absence of mens rea. It means here the law is clear. If the law is clear, for the example 378 or 299, in this case, no confusion, there is no any problem. Here law clearly talks about dishonest intention or intentions. Law is silent. But the second part, in the second part where law is silent, for the example 121, for the example bigamy, for the example kidnapping, where law is silent. If the law is silent, then we will divide into two parts. Suppose that there are two persons, A and B. A is saying that if law is silent, court can't insert new ingredient. It means if law is silent about the mens rea, it means at that place requirement of mens rea is not necessary. But B says that if the law is silent, we should apply the maxim actus non facere nisi mens rea, and mens rea should be treated as a part of the crime. As you know that this is the only synopsis, I will discuss later on thoroughly. Next is that there are some maxims which are very relevant to discuss these topics. As you know that first is that actus non facere reum, comma, nisi mens rea. It means total how many words have been prescribed in this maxim? 8 words. The actus non facere reum, nisi mens rea. I will discuss thoroughly this maxim also. As you know that this maxim is relevant for your semester exam. But another maxim which I have prescribed, which I had discussed here, is that nullum crimen sine lege, nullum sine lege. This maxim is relevant for the competitive exam, especially for the LLM entrance, and more important for the UGC NET JRF. Whenever you go for the UGC NET JRF after completing the LLM, this maxim is usually asked in the competitive exam. In that exam, in the actus non facere reum, this is the common maxim. This is limited only for the semester exam, but this maxim is generally for the competitive exam. Both the maxims have been discussed thoroughly later on, and you can read. I will discuss, but later on. Come to the stages of crime. First is that you always keep in mind that here we are talking about the elements of the crime. Elements of the crime and stages of the crime both are totally different things. Sometimes students in the LLB first, if they are going to LLB first semester, sometimes students becomes confused whether we are talking about the elements of the crime or stages of the crime. Whenever I talks about the stages of crime, it means I am talking about the chronology. I am talking about the chronology. For example, a baby who came in the womb of the mother, that is the intention. Whether he will be male or female, you can't identify. That is called the intention. In the same way, no one can identify what is his intention. Whether you are abusing me or appreciating, I can't say anything. Generally, I know what will be your response, but I do not interested to listen your response. My point is that here the intention, it is the stage. The first of all, baby will come under the in the womb of the mother, and what would be his nature, whether male or female, it can't be identified. My point is that here the intention is the same situations. Regarding the second stage is the preparation. Preparation is that taking the birth. Taking the birth on this earth, you can't decide whether he will be dacoit or he will be scientist. So this is the stage of the preparations. In the same way, preparations can't be said that general rule is that intention, it is a universal rule that on the basis of intention no one can be convicted, but preparation can be divided into two parts. What is the rule? Rule is that at the stage of preparations person can't be convicted, but exception is that there are certain exceptional cases when the person even at the stage of preparation can be convicted. The rule is that at the stage of preparation person can't be convicted. Third is that attempt, at the stage of attempt in all circumstances person will be convicted, and this is the young stage, and this is the fourth stage, that is the final stage, that is called the old stage. The old stage, that after completing the old age you will expire. My point is that these stages of the crime must be remembered in the format of the chronology. Don't try to mingle hither and thither. The first is intention stage. Whenever talking about the stage, that is the chronology. First is intention, second preparation, third attempt, fourth is commission. But whenever talks about the elements of the crime, as you know that elements of the crime is what is necessary to constitute the crime. These are called the elements of the crime. Human being, mens rea, actus reus, injury to society or human being. There are certain exceptional cases here maybe, but I am not going to discuss here. I will discuss later on each and everything. And in the last, I have also discussed some previous year questions paper which have been asked in your semester exam. Come to the point here, meaning of the crime. As you know that I had already told you that meaning of crime is not much more relevant for semester exam. But if you are writing in the semester exam meaning of the crime, of course you will get good marks. In this way, for the competitive exam, this is the important. For the example, they always ask some things. For the example, meaning of several jurists had been discussed here, but most important is that meaning of the black stone. This is a very popular meaning of the crime given by the black stone. Black stone said that crime is an act committed. It means suppose that I killed you, that is the committed. Or omitted, suppose that I am a police officer and my duty is that to prevent rioting, but what I am doing, I am observing, I am seeing, I am watching live fighting among the societies. So my point is that here Blackstone said that crime is an act committed or omitted in violation of which law? In violation of public law. Law can be divided on the several grounds, but for the purpose of definition of Blackstone regarding the meaning of definition, we can divide the law into two parts. First part is the private law, and second part is the public law. Private law are those laws which govern the relation between two or more parties. For example, Indian Contract Act, family law, that is the Hindu law, Muslim law, these laws will come under the category of private law. But those laws which regulate the public at large, that come under the category of public law. It means, for example, IPC. He is talking about the public law. He is not talking about the private law. He is not talking about the contract. He is not talking about the Transfer of Property Act. He is talking about the IPC. The My IPC or Domestic Violence Act, Dowry Prohibition Act, these law come under the category of public law. It means, at least it is my humble request to remember at least one definition, and that definition given by the Blackstone. Definition is that crime is an act committed or omitted of which law of the violation of public law, either forbidding or commanding it. As you know that, I hope you have remembered. You can also remember the definition of Austin, but here the other definition of the Austin. Austin is also called the father of the Indian Evidence Act. As you know that his definition is much more important. Here the crime is an act forbidden by law. Yes, but he also saying that which is at the same time revolting the moral sentiment of the society. It means in the competitive exam how to choose the correct objective. To choose the correct objective, you can remember only the key words. For example, in the case of Blackstone, you can remember the committing or omitting. For example, in the case of Stephen, you have to choose revolting to the moral sentiment of the society. So my point is that if you try to make the difference between the definition of the Blackstone and Stephen, you will find out that here the Stephen says that uh, crime is not only against the forbidden law, it also against the morality. It means law several times generally we follow the enacted law, and morality is norms of the society. It means where the Blackstone is confined itself only and only law enacted by the society. On the other side, Stephen not only focusing on the law enacted by the state, but he also includes morality of the society. It means Stephen has focused on the moral value of the society at the same time also. From the next class, please be careful. After the 5 minutes, I will not going to accept anyone. Okay. So this is the first class. Then I will start accepting you. Come to the here. After in these two definitions, you can remember. Come to the point. This is not too much more. Come to the here starting points here is that, as you know that I always say to all my students, whether are you preparing for the competitive exam or the semester exam, technique in both the field is same. What is the best technique to prepare either semester or competitive exam? Please first of all go and purchase the previous year question papers and collect the question paper according to the topic wise. And after collecting the topic wise, please make your notes. In that way, you can at least understand nature of the question. So that's why, as you know, that students are the first time are taking the classes of the IPC. That's why I am going to discuss in very basic things for them. As you know that in due LLB previous year question paper in 2010, simple question was that explain the essential elements of the crime. Explain the essential elements of the crime. It means in the synopsis I have written here, explain the elements of the crime. So now come to the start topic wise of the point. Here, as you know that here the answer question is direct questions regarding the explain the essential elements of the crime. But even though I have written the definition, why I had written the definition? Because it will be much more attractive, and in this way I can get good marks. As you know that explain the essential elements of the crime. The first condition is that you should know what is the crime. If a student who does not know meaning of the crime, how can he search essential elements of the crime? So that's why first point is that what is the meaning of the crime? As you know that earlier I already discussed that Blackstone. Blackstone said that crime, what is the crime? Crime is an act or omitted in violation of public law or private law. Only and only public law. He does not talk about the private law, either forbidding or commanding it. Okay, either forbidding. When the law is forbidding, when the law is forbidding you, but what you are doing, you are committing. When the law says that do this work, but what you are doing, you are omitting this work. So my point is that crime is an act committed or omitted in violation of public law, either forbidding or commanding it. According to the Stephen is not confined only to the enacted law. He also talks about the sentiment, moral sentiments of the society. Stephen says that crime is an act forbidden by law, and which at the same time, most important word is that and means two things, two parts. Crime is an act forbidden by law and at the same time revolting to the moral sentiments of the society. Come to the after definition of the crime, come to the exact point of the question, what is the elements of the crime? As you know that I had already told you in the synopsis that there are four elements of the crime, namely human being, mens rea, actus reus, injury to society, or human being. As you know that here I had already discussed the elements of the crime. एक बात मैं और बताना भूल गया, मैं सभी लोगों को नोट्स भेजा था इसका आईपीसी का, तो जो बच्चे प्रिंट आउट करा लिए होंगे तो उनको घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि जो मैं आगे पीछे कहीं न कहीं उसमें लिखा हूँ ऑलरेडी सारी चीजें, और मैं हर दिन कुछ न कुछ अपडेट करते रहता हूँ. तो आप मत सोचा करिए कि मैंने प्रिंट आउट करा लिया तो बेकार हो गया, ऐसे हो गया वैसे हो गया, नहीं, कुछ नहीं. आपने प्रिंट आउट जो है आप कराकर उसको बढ़िया से पढ़िए. बाकी हमारा डेली का काम है यही, जैसे आप खाना खाते हो ना वैसे मैं लिखता हूँ डेली, एकदम ब्रेक ही नहीं होगा. तो कुछ ना कुछ नया चीजें मिलता रहेगा, तो आप उसके लिए घबराओ मत, चलता रहेगा. So come to the point here is that elements of the crime. Here I had made here four elements. Human being means react serious injury to that thing. Come to the human being. As you know that first essential ingredients of the crime is that human being. Human being means only and only human can commit crime. Only and only who can commit crime, only human can commit crime under the Indian Penal Code. Under the Indian Penal Code, as you know that there are several authorities are the legal person. Delhi University is a legal person. Delhi University can commit the crime, but that crime will be regulated by other law. That crime committed by Delhi University, breach of duty by any university or by any company. Company is also legal persons. But those activity would not be governed by the Indian Penal Code, because Indian Penal Code talks about those offences in which person can be sent to jail, person can be hanged till death. So whether a company can be hanged till death? No. Whether Delhi University can be hanged till death? No. The first essential ingredient is that only human being can commit the crime. If you go to search the history of the ingredient of the crime, you will find that European countries were far behind India, because in the European countries, in the starting of the criminology, they were punishing even the animals. They were punishing even the animals. They were putting animals into the jail for the commission of the crime. As you know that, can you presume at present time? So as you know that, in as at least in the Indian philosophy, animals were never sent to jails for committing the crime. At least we are the modern in these matters. The my point is that I wanted to say only one thing is that first and most important ingredient is that there must be human being. Okay, first thing. And as you know that merely being a human being is not sufficient to constitute the crime. Suppose that I am a human being, I am reading in book whether I had committed any crime. No, I had not committed any crime. So merely being a human being is not a crime. So my point is that although human being is most important ingredient, but it is not the sole ingredient. Further say that mens rea. As you know that mens rea, in the law, I always said that everything must be divided into two parts. What is the rule? What is the exceptions? As you know that rule says that rule is based on the maxim actus non facere nisi mens rea. It means an act is not sufficient itself unless it is constituted with guilty mind. It means according to this maxim, there are two ingredients of the crime, actus reus as well as guilty mind. But exception is that in certain exceptional circumstances, person can be convicted for his prohibited act even he has committed without guilty mind. So my point is that rule is that mens rea is essential ingredient of the crime, but there are certain exceptional circumstances in which without mens rea, without guilty mind, a person can be convicted for his prohibited act, for doing his prohibited act. So this is the rule. Exception is that I will discuss this exception with in the several cases. For example, in M.H. George, State of Maharashtra versus M.H. George, Honorable Supreme Court in 1965 decided this landmark judgment and applied the principle of strict liability. Whenever I say the strict liability, it means that liability in which person is convicted even without guilty mind. Next is that third essential ingredient is that actus reus. This is the Latin words and the English word is that prohibited act. As you know that what is the meaning of actus reus? Several jurists had tried to define the meaning of the actus reus. As you know that among them, Justice Kenny had defined the meaning of the prohibited act, and according to him, he said that actus reus is a result of human conduct. But such human conduct, as the law seeks to prevent, it means you always keep in mind, actus and reus both are totally different things. Actus means act, reus means prohibited against law. It means every act is not actus reus. Suppose that you invited in your marriage ceremony. I attended.
Sir, you are not audible.
Maybe there is some internet issue.
Yeah, possible.
somebody के टेक्स्ट
डॉक्यूमेंट
में
भी नहीं दिख रहा मुझे तो।
नहीं उनका ये डॉक्यूमेंट दिख रहा है, वो नहीं दिख रहे हैं, मतलब वो उनका आवाज नहीं आ रहा है।
तुम्हें दिख रहा है डॉक्यूमेंट?
डॉक्यूमेंट दिख रहा है मुझे।
हाँ,
डॉक्यूमेंट दिख रहे हैं।
डॉक्यूमेंट दिख रहा है।
यार मेरे में
ब्रॉडबैंड
सबसे
इशू।
डॉक्यूमेंट हट जाता है।
somebody can text, पता नहीं नंबर
हो सकता है इंटरनेट स्टॉप कर दिया हो एरिया में। मेरे यहाँ पे भी इंटरनेट बंद कर दिया गया, वाईफाई चल रहा है बस।
ओ कहाँ पर?
सोनीपत में। वो सर दिल्ली में भी कर दिया हुआ शायद मेरे ख्याल से तो।
सर दिल्ली
सर
में
के
कि
पास
कहीं और
तो
है?
वाईफाई है ना।
हाँ हो सकता है भाई, बंद हो गया हो।
नहीं,
हाँ
दिल्ली में
बंद हो
चल रहा है इंटरनेट।
स्क्रीन शेयरिंग भी बंद हो गई।
तो हो सकता है कि सर दिल्ली में ना हो।
हाँ, ये हो सकता है।
हो सकता है।
तो टेक्स्ट करो उनको।
मैं कर रहा हूँ, वेट करो।
बाकी 4-5 बच्चे भी चले गए, वो बच्चे भी
अरे
जा
जो
रहे
है
हैं।
उनको तो अटेंडेंस मिल जाए।
Recording is on.
ओ हाँ, थैंक यू ब्रो।
सर को टेक्स्ट डिलीवर नहीं हो रहा है।
कोई सर को पर्सनली मैसेज कर दो।
कॉल नहीं कॉल ही कर दो, बेस्ट होगा आई थिंक।
ओके।
श्लोक,
अरुण
यार
कॉल ही बेस्ट ऑप्शन है यार, कॉल कर
श्लोक
लो।
कॉल कर लो सर को।
अरुण आप कर रहे हैं ना?
हाँ वो लेफ्ट हो गए, वो कर रहे होंगे।
आप मैंने कोई कॉल कीजिए सर को।
श्लोक सीआर है, वो कॉल करेंगे फिर तो।
ट्राई करता हूँ मैं सर को कॉल एक बार।
यस।
श्लोक भाई, सर का नेटवर्क इशू लग रहा है क्या?
भाई वो मुझे लगता है वो है ही नहीं दिल्ली में।
सर ने पहले ही बताया था कि नेटवर्क इशू है।
अच्छा ये बताओ, जब तक क्लास नहीं चल रही, कोई मुझे बताएगा एक चीज।
बोलो बोलो।
भाई रिकॉर्डिंग हो रहा है, थोड़ा
दो चीज
ध्यान से।
बताएंगे।
अच्छा, रिकॉर्डिंग हो रहा है क्या?
हाँ
हाँ
रिकॉर्डिंग हो रहा है।
अच्छा।
रेलिवेंस क्वेश्चन है तो पूछ, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, क्लास